Would you like to support the Insiders? Pick up some merch now. Support us by getting a shirt, a hoodie, support Abby's window, get a Shenanigans shirt, whatever you'd like. Pick up some merch now. Insiders Pro Wrestling. The link is at the end of the video.
Insiders Wrestling community, what do you want to talk about? Welcome to another episode of Between the Ropes. We are here. I like that now. See, I know that that's trademarked. It's Cody's thing. I kind of dig it. I think it fits. Yeah. So guess what? We're using it. Sorry, Cody. We love you. But, you know, welcome to another episode of Between the Ropes. It's been a while. And we've got a lot of catching up to do and a lot of wrestling to talk about as just, again, we say this all the time when we miss a show, but there is a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world, and it's going to be fun to chat about it tonight with you all. Welcome in. But first, before we do, we had an absolutely amazing show on our channel this past week. Of course, an episode of Abby's Abode where we got to speak to one of the originators of the Fiend mask. That is Kyle Scarboro, who is the artist who, you know, met with Bray and went over a lot of the original plans to create his Fiend mask and much, much more. So if you haven't seen it, and I know a lot of you were in the chat, but some of you may not have been, and people who listen to the show may not have been. But if you haven't, you really need to check it out. And what Jeff went and did was he made a bunch of clips, little snippets and stuff from that, 2 hour or so show that we did, and just going over some big points. So check those out on our channel. They're out there now. We're gonna do a little preview of one of those, Jeff, right now, and we'll have you guys listen to it.
It's, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone's kind words, because I've said it before. It's not pandering, because it's just the truth. I've said this to him and he knew it too. I don't know of a performer that ever had the kind of fan base that character carried with it, and, will still carry with it. I've been asked before, do you have connection to the stuff going forward? No, I don't. And I've been, some people don't ask if I liked it. It's like, if his family and his ones, that's what they're going to do with it, then I think it's beautiful if that's the case, as long as his family is in control of that and can help tell that story with the people that knew him. As long as it's his story, then I think it's awesome, and I think any fan of his should support that. you know, so long as, hopefully just with respect to what he wanted to do in mind. And I think that's the only thing that's the thing I've cared about the most. That character has become special to me and part of me. It influences other things that I do. And, a bit of a muse in that way. And, I still have the text where he said, hey, I asked him once if I could design something with the Fiend as a reference in the story I wanted to create, completely unrelated to pro wrestling and everything else. And not, you obviously with the copyright stuff, you can't. He goes, but his thought was that world that we've built with the Fiend stuff it's yours too. I can't remember how you said it. You're part of this too, or something. And I've always taken that part of it to heart. I got to know that, and that meant the world. And I hopefully, hope to keep that going on some way, shape, or form. And if I do, you guys will be the first to know.
Appreciate it, man. Video itself. So go out if you haven't listened to that. It's a really amazing backstory from Kyle, and he was kind enough to come on our show and kind of really pour out his heart. There were times when it was tough. It was tough to there were a lot of pauses from him, and you can understand that. He was friends with Bray, and it was some of it was very, very difficult to listen to. But if you haven't, and you're a fan of Bray Wyatt's, or listen, just a fan of wrestling overall, it's really, really cool thing to go and listen to. So please do that. Check out the clips if you want to hear some more of those first. But it's really, really good, and it was just an amazing look at the character. And Kyle's been a friend, and he's come on our show, and didn't have to. We are generally a smaller channel, and he came on our show a few times. He got to know Jody, and from her visiting him for tattoo and artwork and stuff like that too. But yeah, so check it out. It was really, really great, and some of the stuff that I heard, that Jeff was there behind the scenes, that we heard Kyle talk about, we never knew had happened or was happening, and we got to see some amazing art, things that were being planned for the future as well, of the character, stuff that he was going to go forward with before his untimely passing. So check it out. It's really, really good stuff. So do go check that out if you haven't done so already. All right. And of course, thank you to Jeff for doing that. That's a lot of work to do those clips. If you've ever done editing in videos and stuff, and I know I haven't, but that's a lot of work. You have to go into the video. You have to take pieces of it, make sure they're edited properly, and things, and that takes a lot. So again, thank you to Jeff for putting all those together. So yeah, great stuff. Jeff, I'll give you a couple of words. I know, listen, you were behind the scenes running that show. What were some of your thoughts on what you heard with Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great discussion. He's been so gracious with his time on our channel. So I greatly appreciate him coming on and trusting us, to help him kind of deliver those untold stories and show that concept art. It was really an awesome experience. And, just hearing more stories about Bray is always cool. Just hearing, how different people experience really, really, really good stuff. I thought, and again, just super grateful to Kyle for coming on our channel and telling those stories and making time for us and our listeners and viewers.
It's a good segue too, because I do have a little bit of a take on some stuff, which I'll share during our grievances section. Actually, not even Jeff knows about this one. I kept this a little quiet with everyone, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about some things during that segment. Not necessarily grievance, but it is definitely a hot take, and some may agree and some may not, and that's okay. That's why we do this stuff. So, all right, let me welcome. Well, first we'll go over our programming schedule. Of course, we will this week have Abby's Abode. We always keep you posted on that as to when it'll be. I know sometimes Jody's schedule's a little weird with work and things, so we'll keep you posted on that. It is normally on Tuesdays. That'll obviously be a follow up to this a little bit, or to the Kyle video, and then they'll be talking about a lot of stuff. They have a lot of stuff to go over now because of all these howdy clips and everything else that's coming out. So join them Tuesday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If the time changes, we'll let you know. This coming Thursday, we're back for TNA. I apologize. I could not make it last week, but Jeff did an amazing job with the show, and I thank him for doing that. It was a great TNA. I got to watch it, and it was really fun. TNA has a lot of fun stuff going on right now with Matt Hardy and with everything else that's happening there. Nick Nemeth, and of course, Moose and all those people, those key players there. It's been very, very good. And it's not, what are we, a week? We're not even a week from another pay-per-view for them. Yeah. It's like a week.
This Friday.
Is it this? Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. So really no time there at all. And I'm sure that's when we may see, we'll talk more about this, Matt Hardy as well going forward. But join us on Thursday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly TNA show, our watch along, and then a TNA Impact. And then, of course, this coming Sunday, we'll be back here. Nothing on Sunday as far as pay-per-views go. So we'll be back here on Sunday night for another episode of Between the Ropes. So, all right. Let me welcome some people in and we'll get going because we do have a lot to talk about. We've got Clown. We've got Christopher. Hello, hello. We've got Hassan is in the house. We have Derek Fleming. Hey, Derek. Check your DMs. I think it'll be something you possibly like. Oh, boy. I'm always scared to check Derek's DMs, especially when I'm at work. Dylan is here. Marvin is here. Brandon Davey is here. James Chadwick. So what do you want to talk about? That's our new thing. A. Jobson is here. Marvin, I think I called Jason Peace is here. Hey, Jason. Barry Monkey from Twitch is here. I hate Facebook. Ryan Neeson is here. Hey, Ryan. Conrad is in the house. Hey, Conrad, how are you? Hit like and subscribe, he says. Thank you so much. Big Dan is here. What's up, Big Dan? We have Swack Fan in the house is here. Hello to you. Damian Robinson is here. Hello to you. Noob and Company is here. And Noob is always giving us shout outs, which we super appreciate. I'm very, very grateful for you doing that. Thanks, Noob. And we appreciate you, dude. And thanks for joining. See if I missed anyone. Andrew Stevens is here. And Greg is here. Hello to all of you that have joined. I know it's been a crazy sports weekend overall. We've had drafts upon drafts. We had NFL drafts, and we had WWE drafts, and we have NBA playoffs going on right now. We have NHL stuff going on, baseball. It's crazy. There is so much going on in the world of sports and the world of entertainment as well. We had that huge Deadpool trailer that came out, and just so much stuff is going on. Very, very hard to keep up with it all, but we'll do our best to try to keep you caught up on the wrestling. So we're going to start out as we always do with any breaking news that might be out there in the wrestling world. So there it is. There is our breaking news. I'm trying to think if there's anything big that I don't remember. The only thing I remember reading over the last couple of days was and I don't even know. I don't get to watch. I've told you this countless times. I don't get to watch AEW a lot. I didn't get to see it this coming Wednesday, and I really kind of wanted to because it was the first show after a pay-per-view. I caught up with it because I read about it, the reviews of the show and all that kind of stuff, and Jeff and I spoke about it a little bit. However, I didn't know about the whole thing with Daniel Bryan. I had no idea that he was almost very, very seriously injured in his match. And of course, his wife came out and spoke about it. Daniel came out kind of just saying that he was okay. And man, to hear those comments, and from him and what a close call that was. And then Jeff, and oh my gosh, my memory is shot. Excuse me, guys, because my sinuses are just blowing up from the pollen and allergies and stuff. Jeff, I'm an idiot, but he wrestled. He wrestled who?
Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay, thank you. I could not get the name. Yes, he wrestled Will, and of course, Will came out and said that he was never going to use a particular move again after that. That he got so broken up and up about that. So that's crazy. Yeah, some people have Derek saying his best match of the year. I'm sure it was. I didn't get to see it. They're two tremendous athletes, two of the best, and wouldn't doubt it was very good. But yeah, that's crazy hearing somebody saying I'll never use that again after that because of how probably nervous and scared he was that he may have really hurt Daniel. So was a little taken aback by that one, Jeff. I had no idea that had happened.
Yeah, it's like Conrad and Clown are saying they're working that into the story.
Oh, okay. So that's actually okay. So that's a story going forward. I got you. Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. He was taken care of on the move, but Danielson sold and had his fans worried. Plays into a story when people say they don't do them. All right. Well, there you go. So, that's good. That's good. I was just glad he wasn't actually hurt. Tazzy's here. What's up, Tazzy? How are you? It's an insider's party, baby. Yeah, but Jeff, I don't know. Anything else you can think of that's really breaking news other than, like everything, other than the draft and everything else that came out for that and all that kind of stuff. But what else? Is there anything else out there that I may have missed? Because I know I've been working in a lot of the stuff I haven't seen.
Well, Big Dan is bringing up Vince McMahon selling off the rest of his TKO stock. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, good, good. I mean, that the more he gets out of there, that's good, because obviously, the less he's there, the better. So if that's the case, and he indeed do that, then I'm pretty happy with that. I do have to shout out, and I know, we pride ourselves in not trying to emulate or to use a lot of the stuff from other wrestling news organizations and things, because some of the things they do aren't necessarily what we agree with. However, that said, I want to just say our condolences to Sean Ross Sapp. He lost his grandmother. I did read on his page, and he said he was extremely close to her. He called her Mima. And so our condolences to him. That's it's very hard. Jeff will attest. My mom is still with us. Jeff's is not. And my grandmother passed away. Both my grandmothers passed away quite some time ago. But when you're close to your grandmother, and I was close to my mom's mom, because I spent a lot of time with them. When I was a kid, I was kind of a, latchkey kid. My parents both worked during the day, and I had to, a lot of times I was sent, I'd go over to my parents or my grandparents' house on the weekends because my parents had to work. My dad was very, very, very dedicated worker. He had to back then, and he was working 3 jobs and weekend jobs when he wasn't in his other one. My mom was working in a restaurant, so she would be working during the days and sometimes nights and stuff. So I spent a lot of time with them, and I was very, very close to my grandparents. My grandfather's probably a role model maybe a role model to me than my own dad was. And so I can certainly understand that. So obviously our condolences to him for that. I know, like I said, I'm sure he's not the only one who's been very close to a grandparent. So just wanted to say that. So, all right. Shout out and prayers for the victims of the hurricanes in Oklahoma. The weather's been insane everywhere. Just insane everywhere. Yeah, crazy. I mean, 75 degrees in New York. It was 80 here today, which last week was 30. Just not even last week, like 3-4 days ago, it was 30 degrees.
Yep.
Now it's 80. Tomorrow it's supposed to be closer to 85. We're getting thunderstorms. We're getting it's just the weather's insane. It's just an insane time for weather. Really insane. All right, Deanna is here. Tazzy, of course, popped in. Hello to you. Mark is here from Facebook. Hey, Mark. A lot more people showed up. We've got. Let me see if I missed anybody else. Marvin, Hassan, John G. John G is here. I think I'm good. All right. Well, yeah. So, Jeff, if there's no more breaking news, I guess we'll go forward and we'll get started with the news from this past week, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start here. we like to see people getting their pay and everything. So we'll start here. Looks like Drew re-signed and will be returning, or I guess staying with WWE.
This is great news. This is one of those things that's gone around the internet quite a bit, right? From the time that Drew had lost the title and all that, people, of course, all the negative Nancy's out there were saying, "Oh, this signifies that he's probably done." I don't understand like how people watch wrestling, or even if they do, because like you saw clearly, this whole thing with CM Punk is nowhere near finished, and so you should have really known that now with that all going on, especially Punk snaking him, so he lost the title and stuff like that. That there's no way that was just going to be dropped. But yeah, I'm glad he got signed. Look, Jeff, I think he's really doing some of his best work. I love this character he's doing now because it's not a true heel. He's kind of a he's kind of, Jeff, like an anti-hero to me, like a Batman almost. You can dislike his methods, but a lot of the stuff he says is very true. Look at all the things he was saying during the Cody storyline about the bloodline and stuff like that. It was very, very true. The things that he was talking about. Now the stuff with Sheamus and saying burger after burger, I was dying. I was one of the funniest things he said in a long time. Yeah. And whether we're going to get another feud with him and Sheamus, I know some people are griping about that. Oh, we've seen that a gazillion times. Guys, it's good wrestling. Who cares? They've had matches upon matches upon matches, and they've all been pretty good. So if that's what we're going to get at Backlash, I'm all for that. I think they're both tremendous, and I love Drew, Jeff, and I'm glad he's staying on because, again, like I said, I really like his character, and I want a finish to that story with CM Punk. Maybe we'll get it at SummerSlam. Maybe that's a long enough time for Punk to be fully healed. Maybe sooner. Maybe he's more healed than we know, and maybe it'll be in Saudi or in one of the other, because all these next couple pay-per-views, I was even thinking it's going to be a long time before we do a pay-per-view for WWE. I think our next one is SummerSlam because the next ones are all overseas.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be able to see them. Tazzy will be doing them, but we won't because they'll be at crazy times. So yeah, Jeff, I like this. I'm glad he got paid. He deserves it. He's done a tremendous job from the time he exited WWE. He's another story like Cody. He exited, he built himself up, he's come back, and now he's reaping the rewards. And he's definitely, Jeff, one of their top superstars.
Oh, for sure. He's one of their tops. And in terms of storyline and everything and how he's doing right now, I agree with you. I think he's doing some of his best work. Hopefully his new contract reflects that because he's done a masterful job. And I think honestly with what he's doing right now, I don't even think character. I think of a disgruntled coworker or a disgruntled teammate. There's a sense of realism. It's like he's saying the things that you want to say at work or, whatever the case may be. And yeah, I got to hand it to him. He's doing great right now and I'm happy for him. And, I think he's going to do some great things going forward there in WWE. I hope that the next time he gets to the title that he holds it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think the way that they're going to go here is I want to say I would venture to guess that Drew will see the title prior to CM Punk seeing it, because I think they're going to have CM Punk maybe win it at next year's WrestleMania. to give him that moment that he wanted to get. So I would be kind of surprised if he didn't win the Rumble next year and then, pick his challenger. And then it could at that point in time be Drew, which would set up a huge WrestleMania match.
Yeah,
so I kind of think that's the way they're going to go with it. So we won't probably be seeing that match with Punk for a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be cool. Yeah. Listen, I like this guy. I do. I always have. And it seems as if backstage, a lot of people like him there too. And a lot of people are rooting for him. He still does, to me, deserve that moment in the sun because he was one of those guys like Bray and some others who carried WWE through COVID. And that was very difficult. And so, so I like it. I'm glad it's a cool signing, and I'm glad to see that he's been given compensation and he's staying with WWE. Very Absolutely. Cool. Very cool. Let me see. We've got Alicia in the house. Hello, Alicia. If Punk can stay healthy for long, we never know. Punk might be the reason Drew stayed. If you think about it, could be.
Very true.
Very, very true. He could certainly be. Let's see if anybody, I mentioned this to Jeff, but everyone talked about Roman dropping the belt to Cody. But even though Rhea and you cut off there. Good point, Jeff. He's the guy who wants to know why he isn't captain, says Conrad. All right, so there you go. So that is Drew McIntyre. What do we got next?
All right, up next, we talk about the night one of the WWE draft.
Yeah, man. I thought this was good. I was a little disappointed in, and I can't, again, my memory's shot. I can't remember if the last time they had the draft, they excluded the champions from that. And once I heard that, I was like, yeah, it kind of took a little luster away from it for me, because knowing that they could transfer the champions from one show to another. And the other thing I think they may have dropped the ball in a little bit was, we saw once they showed the graphic for Cody not being included that he was all of a sudden the SmackDown, and they never announced that. They never said he was going to SmackDown. See, I personally would have done a big fanfare about that, and I said, Cody Rhodes is being selected by SmackDown, and just do it that way, rather than just kind of brushing it under the thing, saying, well, he's on SmackDown now. But I thought it was cool. Jeff, the coolest part about these drafts to me, and especially this year's, I love how it was very much more sports oriented this time. You had the people interviewing the folks in the NXT when, the interviewer was going up and down the aisles, talking to some very similar to how the NFL does with the players and things like that. You had the war rooms. Of course, they've had those before, but this time the war rooms didn't look like all goofy. They looked a lot more serious, going over paperwork and all that other kind of stuff. So I like the look of it. Definitely more professional. I think that's probably due to Anthem, or not Anthem, but what the hell's the name of the company there with the Endeavor. Thank you. Yes, I'm forgetting all names.
I hope I got that right.
It was Endeavor.
Somebody will let us know if we don't.
Yeah, no, it's Endeavor. So going more toward the sports part of it, like with Endeavor and stuff, I think that has a lot to do with this. And I like that. I like it for the young people too. I mean, my gosh, boy, Jeff, Braun Breaker, man. That guy's he's gonna get a quick rise to the top, or very, very near the top. And there you see round one, of course, Bianca Belair, Jeff, getting picked first in round one. That was amazing. Bianca definitely, I mean, she is a star. We know how good she is, but being the first round pick, I thought that was huge. A woman being round one pick, that's amazing right there in itself. Jey Uso, of course, Yeet, man, he's definitely going to be up there. He's going to be riding a rocket too, depending on where they want to go. Carmelo Hayes, man, right up there in round one. And Seth Rollins, of course, no surprise there with Seth. You figure he's going to be up there too on the board, but some surprises in there. But I really like how, with Bianca, they're showing their faith in their women's division and how they want to look at women's divisions going forward. Of course, with Bianca maybe kind of leading the way there. And then you can see in these younger stars, Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, and then of course Seth when he comes back. Yeah, man, I like this. And I like how they're going with it. I like the presentation and I like how they do it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. We'll see what happens on Raw, because now Raw's got 2 more hours of it. There you see round 2. Was a recap them. We've got Randy Orton to SmackDown. That presents very interesting stuff to me, Jeff, because when Cody gets done with AJ Styles, could you imagine Randy Orton turning back into a heel and going after Cody Rhodes? And he wouldn't even have to really turn. He could just keep his same personality and do it, but that's amazing. Nia Jax gets picked very highly for SmackDown. So that's another cool pick. And Raw going after Braun Breaker, in the second round, that's huge. And he's just been mauling his opponents. And then, of course, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan now kind of enters the fray, being the second woman picked. So you could see how much they're thinking of her. Obviously, Becky and her ended up, first and second in the run for that title that Becky won. They were the last 2 in the ring. So I like this because, Jeff, you're seeing just new names here just going in different directions, I think, and different ways they want to take storylines. I really think you're seeing, though, in these 2 rounds, the faith that they have in some of these people, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I'm gonna be somewhat critical here. And I'm trying to bite my tongue at the same time. So I'm trying to do this balance where I don't automatically tick people off right now. But I mean, I think the presentation was good. I think in terms of some of the moves or the picks that we've seen so far, I think it's kind of like, okay, that's kind of status quo. I think is interesting where certain people have been picked. We'll see what happens on Raw tomorrow night. I think maybe they have some more room there to throw in some surprises and kind of shake things up for different people. I, for one, would love to see Shinsuke Nakamura on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And for God's sakes, use the man. But that's just me. I mean, I'm seeing some people that didn't necessarily like the draft, and I understand. I mean, we can be critical of things and not hate them, right? I'll get to that later.
I hope so.
I'll get to that,
so.
but I'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, again, I think the presentation, if anything, from me right now, and this is just the kind of tech geek, production geek that I am, WWE's production quality right now is top notch. Like you're not going to get any better than that, and that's just where it is. But I do think that this could have been done a little bit differently, but I'm going to reserve judgment on this, just like I am other things that are happening in the wrestling world. I'm going to reserve judgment until night 2 is done, and then I'll share my thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good point. We're halfway in, and listen, I'm not going to sit and say it was perfect. There were a lot of people who stood pat. There were a lot of people in here who stayed in the same show, and that was the comments that I saw. Was that, well, didn't really change much. A lot of people kind of stayed where they were, which is true. You can see right on here, AJ Styles, Andrade, Alpha Academy, all staying in the same show. The Bloodline, of course, staying in the same show. I'm sure now with where we're seeing the feud they're having with Kevin Owens, that Kevin Owens is probably going to stay there too. So yeah, there were some not so shocking things, and they kind of stood status quo with things a little bit. So I'm not going to sit here and say it was perfect, but like Jeff said, let's wait until we see what's done on Raw and see where Raw goes. And how that happens and stuff like that, and see where they fill in with everybody else from NXT. So yeah, so there you go. So I mean, listen, it's always a fun time though. It does change things. They go to different storylines. I know WWE is coming to my area in like less than a couple of weeks. They're there on the 10th for SmackDown, so it's just a couple of weeks away. So after that, that'll be when they'll be turning kind of in a new direction, and so on. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see where then, and the, also where you have Cody now on SmackDown. Of course, he's back there with the bloodline again, and so a lot of different things that could happen with Cody. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like Jeff said, we'll make a total grade on it after we see the rest of it coming on Monday night. So, all right, so what's next, Jeff?
This is something I'm very happy about. We saw some titles changing hands last week, and since we've been on, Swerve Strickland winning the AEW World Title, Trick Williams winning the NXT title, and Willow Nightingale earning gold, winning that TBS championship.
Yeah, this was a very cool moment for all three. I respect the heck out of all three of these wrestlers. I love all three of them. I think they're all fantastic. Willow, I saw her in other promotions she was in before going to AEW. Very deserving. I've seen matches of hers from New Japan. Of course, Trick Williams. Again, moving forward from his position in AEW and man, am I getting these confused here? Swerve Strickland, yes. Oh God. Yeah, but and anyway, I told you guys, excuse me, my head is in the clouds from medications and stuff I'm taking for allergies, so I apologize. But yeah, this is fantastic for all these three. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed with, and I don't know, I may get to this a little bit later, but it's going to sound nitpicky, was the treatment of AEW's new champion on their show. You always kind of expect to see big fanfare, and I'm not picking at AEW at all. I had to go back and watch this segment anyway for myself just to see, because I heard about it on Busted Open. But, I always kind of, as a fan, expect there to be big pomp and circumstance with a new champion. And, you didn't really get that, in my opinion, there. So was a little bit disappointed with that. But this is big overall in many, many ways. And Jeff, I want you to speak more about this, because this is probably in pro wrestling a milestone, I would imagine.
It is. It absolutely is. And, I just want to start out by saying representation matters. It absolutely matters when our kids, if you're a parent, when our kids are looking at entertainment, if you're a person of color, it's important for your children to see people that look like them represented in a positive manner, in a manner that showcases that they belong. They've earned that opportunity to be where they are today, and that it is possible. So I just want to shout out, and Conrad brought up Moose. I want to shout out Moose.
Oh, he's terrific.
I mean, he's terrific, and I'm going to leave people out, but at no point in my lifetime as a wrestling fan have I seen this many African American champions, and it's beautiful to see. It is absolutely beautiful to see, because there have always been talented Black wrestlers that deserved and earned the opportunity to be a champion, and they never got that opportunity. So I'm so happy that companies are realizing that their champions should reflect society, should reflect diversity. I'm happy to see that these men and women are getting the opportunity to do that on a grand stage. So that's what I have to say about it, and I really don't give a crap if anybody comes at me about celebrating the fact that people of color, Obafemi, Athena, I mean, yeah, this is a great time. And again, I don't really care if people take issue with the fact that we're highlighting the fact that these are milestones, because the last thing that I'm going to say, I'm going to shut up before I get fired up, is that when people ask the question, well, why is it important? I want you to look back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and tell me how many storylines, prominent storylines, featured people of color. And I want you to think about how so many people never got the opportunity to showcase their talent because of the color of their skin or where they were from. And now those barriers don't exist anymore. That's special. And in 2024, if I can say that this is the first time it happened in a company's history, then that matters. That means something. Conrad talking about a moment I'll never forget. Ron Simmons beat Vader and won the championship. I cried because I had never seen anything like it. And it was years before I got it again. So let me stop before I get real fired up. So there we go.
I can remember when I was a young man watching some of my favorites when I was a kid. And I've mentioned this on the show before, but Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson, and Tony Atlas were a tag team. I can remember watching over and over, and this is part of the reason why I hate Don Morocco so much. But over and over again, I'd see Rocky Johnson wrestling Don Morocco, and a lot of times it was for the Intercontinental title. And I'd be rooting for Rocky so much. I wanted him to win. He was so charismatic and so good, and I just loved him. And I wanted him to win. I wanted him to win. He just never won. He could come so close and would just end up losing. And it was like, oh, this sucks. And then he got together with Tony Atlas in a tag team, and I loved them. And like Jeff was saying, you don't, unless you've seen all this over the years, you don't realize the struggle that there was, for people of color all through the years that you just don't, you haven't seen it. But yeah, it's great. And thanks, Conrad, for sharing your moment. And for Jeff for sharing that too. Cause this really is, it's as important for wrestling. It shows that wrestling is moving forward, and not, just staying stationary and so I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I hope other companies follow in their footsteps. And I hope we see more and more and more of this in the future from every company in the world of professional wrestling. So Congrats to all three. Very, very well deserved. Very well deserved.
Absolutely.
All right, man. What is up next?
All right, man. Well, we're gonna go from some great moments to a not so great moment that we saw.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
More injuries. This has been, another thing this year we've talked about a lot. When we look at people like Rhea Ripley and so many people are getting injured this year, and severe injuries where they're going to be out for a while. We saw, Jeff, this live during that match, and it didn't look good.
Yeah, that fall did not look good.
No, it did not. And we could see it. You saw, and apparently, I guess he had to have a lot of his ear sewed back on or something, because he ripped his ear off. Oh my gosh. This just goes to show you guys, a lot of people that are out there and say that this is just acting. This is just they're scripted and stuff like that. But guys, it doesn't matter. These things can happen. The fact that we don't see a lot more of this happening, that is credited to these athletes, because this can happen at any place, at any time, anywhere. And Jeff will attest to that, being from this, have done this. But yeah, it just sucks, Jeff, for Eric. I again, here's another guy I really love to root for. We don't know where the storyline was going with him or how they were going to use him. Obviously, he still showed up. He came out. I saw from backstage, so he's still, in it. in some way, shape, or form, but he's probably not going to be able to wrestle for quite a while. And that sucks, for a guy like Eric, who is, probably getting close, let's be honest, to that time when, he may be coming up on the twilight of his career in professional wrestling. He's done everything. And, just seeing this happen to him and kind of derail him, it just sucks. Whenever you see someone get injured in wrestling and knowing that they can't do what they want to do. It stinks, but again, we did see it and it did look very bad. The referees got in there right away. They were toweling up the blood that was underneath Eric. And so, just, nothing to say, but other than, get speedy recovery to him. Hopefully he recovers quickly and he's able to get back into a ring at some point if that's indeed what he wants to do. So yeah, I just feel bad for him, Jeff, because we love Eric Young, and it looked as if, geez, from the time when they changed over to TNA, he was the guy who was making that speech. Mm-hmm. He was talking about changing the TNA. He was the guy who came out on their first episode of TNA, the pay-per-view, and brought in the show for the very first time. So you can see how much they have invested in Eric Young. So hopefully he comes back soon.
Yeah, and vice versa, how much he has invested in them.
No doubt.
I think that, obviously it looks like he's going to be okay. He, had the head heavily bandaged when he came out last Thursday to help out. So, I think he's going to be fine. I think we'll get back to him dominating and being the world-class maniac. But I will say that it is a testament to the work, the training, the hours and hours of things that fans never see, that this doesn't happen more often.
Yep.
And to highlight when mistakes happen, I'm just going to say mistakes. I'm not going to say the B word because it pisses me off.
Yeah, okay.
When these types of things happen, it's nobody's fault. We're human beings, and sometimes there's going to be a slip, a trip, a fall. So we have to understand that not everything's going to go to plan. And when we saw this, watching it live, you could see that they didn't hit the table the way in which they wanted to or intended to.
Yep.
And they broke off the corner of the table, which is not something you want to do.
Yeah.
And then immediately you start seeing all the blood from behind Eric Young's ear. And I didn't know how bad it was. I imagined that it was pretty bad, but hopefully again he's on the road to recovery and is able to get back into the ring soon, and when it makes sense and when he's healthy. But really hate that for EY. I don't like to see anyone get injured wrestling and trying to entertain fans and doing something that they love. I don't like to see it. But yeah, hopefully he has a speedy recovery.
Jeff, it could have been, I guess, very much worse. Could you imagine if a piece of that table, God forbid, a piece of that table splintered and went into a vein or somewhere in his neck? I mean, that was so close to the bottom of his neck where you have a lot of major arteries. Imagine if a piece of that table went into an artery. I mean, it's that close. And that's where you guys have to remember. And that's why Jeff and I both hate the B word. I hate it because you guys have to remember that this is such precision work and so delicate that one minor mistake or move can end a wrestler's career. Hell, it can end someone's life.
Yeah.
I mean, a broken neck, something like that can happen at any time. And so please remember that. When if you ever, and I know a lot of you guys would not do it because you're respectful in our community, but if you're watching this and you're not normally a part of this community, and you ever feel as if you need to criticize a wrestler in public or whatever the case might be, please realize that this is hard And yes, it's not real per se, but this is like akin to what stunt people do, but a lot more involved. And so just remember that they're technically putting their life on the line when they're doing some of this stuff. So
And,
please
and
remember.
please know this. If you make that comment on social media and I see it, I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to be rude. All I'm going to do is ask for your footage of your film from when you trained as a wrestler in any matches that we can see. That's going to be my blanket statement. So just know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, you guys are respectful, and we appreciate that. But yeah, anybody else that's out there, please, around us, even still, don't use that word. Please, it's not respectful in any way, and it's yeah. So we see it in our chat. It's a bannable offense. We literally will ban you from the chat. So you want to get bounced out of a chat quickly. There you go. But yeah, so best wishes to Eric. All right, we're moving on.
Matt Hardy, Mike Santana.
Delete.
TNA.
Delete. Delete. If you didn't see it, Matt Hardy is indeed back, man. And it's Broken Matt. I love Broken Matt Hardy and the character. We were so excited when we were doing the pay-per-view because we didn't know who it was going to be. We kind of had thoughts, and there were rumors going around, but we didn't know who it was going to be. And then when the match ended, of course, then Nick Nemeth had lost. The lights go out, and we had no clue until we heard the piano. That was the first giveaway. And then, of course, you look in, and there he is, man. Broken Matt is back. It's so amazing. And I'll just let you in on this. I listened to a really long interview with Matt, who was on Busted Open the very next day, and talking about this, and some of the little tidbits that he had told were in this year that he's no longer with AEW and stuff. He said he is going to do a lot of things for himself. He is going to probably jump around, and he said he's going to just go to places where he wants to be and places where he knows he's going to have fun going, because he realizes and he wants to just go and just appear in a whole bunch of different shows. So if anybody is saying, he's going to sign with WWE for long term, it doesn't sound like that at all. He just says he wants to do things that he wanted to do. And he said one of the things he wanted to do was bring back Broken Matt. And he said TNA, when they were talking to him, they were going to allow him to do this and to do what he wants to do. He may only be around until that next pay-per-view that we're getting in 10 days. That might be it. So this may just be a little tiny sample of Matt and stuff like that. But he said he wants to kind of, ride off into the sunset by revisiting some of these amazing characters that he had done in the past. And he said TNA just said to him that they will allow him to do whatever it is he wants with Broken Matt, which is fantastic, because we all know when he went to WWE, that was a very stripped down and toned down version of that. They didn't really let him do what he wanted to do. So I'm very glad for that. And Santana, man, oh man, what a beast this dude has been so far coming back. I love when wrestlers come back to somewhere where they were with before, and you could just see the energy, the enthusiasm and stuff in them, that they're back, and it's almost like they have come back home. And I love that. No matter which wrestling you're in, no matter which place you go, it's such a cool feeling, and you can just see the energy in this guy and how happy he is to be there. And he starts off right off the bat beating Steve Macklin, who is huge. I mean, he's one of the top guys in TNA, and this guy just comes in. He won his second match as well, which I watched on the show on Thursday, which he looked absolutely tremendous doing. This guy's going to be a factor. I don't know where they're going to go with him. He seems like he's come in as a face, but we'll see. I mean, listen, if they're not going to give Josh the title back and Nick Nemeth isn't going to win it right away, can you imagine Santana going up against Moose? Holy cow. So happy to see him back. Very well deserved. The amount of energy and applause and stuff he got from the fans there. And Jeff, both of these moves, I love them. It just seems like TNA they're going with the flow. They're getting some good people in, but they're also kind of doing some things for the short term a little bit in storyline wise with Matt. And Jeff, I love it. I love both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I love that both are involved. Um, really happy for Mike Santana. It looks like he's going to be a factor. I mean, that's what we can say right now. We don't know what direction, but he's going to be a major factor in the division.
Yep.
Matt Hardy, seeing him back in TNA, thinking about all the different things he did in TNA and Impact, the broken Matt Hardy character, absolutely love it.
Yep.
I can't wait to see what he does next. Again, he may not be there for long, but I feel like they'll make good use of his time and what he does there.
Yeah.
Again, I want to. You shared that he's not necessarily signing anywhere. He just wants to be able to roam and do what it is he wants to do on his terms, and I respect that. I appreciate that, and I think he's earned that. Having said that, and I know that people have been kind of harping on this on social media. If you want to see him end up in WWE, it doesn't mean that it's off the table. It just means that it's not happening today.
Right.
That's it.
Yep. Yeah. One of those stops he talked about may very well be WWE.
Yep.
Yeah. It certainly could.
And Joe, we got to shout that out too. Little Silver bringing up Sami Callihan being back in TNA. That's huge.
No doubt. Yeah, I love Sammy. I hated when he left. And I love seeing him back. He looks like I'll tell you what, man, Sammy looks toned up. He looks like he buffed up a little bit. He looks good, and he's back to his old tricks. I love Sami Callihan. Think he's an Impact / TNA guy. He's one of those stalwarts that they need there. He's backed them from day one. He was one of the ones that was in Impact, and just everything they did, Sammy seemed to have a hand in. And so I love it. I love to see Sammy back as well. I think it's a wonderful signing for them. I'm very glad that he came back. Very, very happy to see him back as well. So yeah, it's look, guys, this is great. And this is just the start of the year, man. We're only in April. We haven't gotten to some of their big events yet. So, and look who they have brought in so far. Yes, they're going to lose some people. That's just part of the game. Deonna Purrazzo, of course, was sad to see her go, and some of the others. But you can bet that, and it does seem this makes me confident, because a lot of people were saying, well, let's hope that Anthem just isn't going to screw this up, and it doesn't look that way. It looks as if they're trying to bring in and work with some people and bring in some really, really big talent into the new TNA Impact, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, man, super, super happy with the people that we saw, and I'm sure that's not going to be the end of it. We will probably see more. We just saw someone released from WWE that I think would be a tremendous fit in the new TNA. In of course Cameron Grimes, man. I love him. I don't know if you guys saw that, but man, such an emotional moment when he got released and how he shared it with everyone and stuff. And then I did hear him talking on Busted Open the next day, and he said he may have regretted it a little bit. But anyway, just another face. I would love to possibly see him come back to TNA. So I think that'd be awesome. So love it. Mike Santana spin on the spin the block could come off as silly, but the way he snaps that off, it looks awesome. Would TNA come to Saudi? Imru, I don't think so, only because WWE probably has carte blanche there. And but you never know. They listen, they've gone to countries we didn't think they'd go to. They were in Australia last year. So you never know. You never know. Listen, you can never say never to anything in wrestling anymore, because it just really seems like all bets are off. James says, I'm surprised Elias hasn't shown up yet. Bring back Trevor Lee. If that's the case, then that's cool. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Trevor Lee, Jinder Mahal with Veer and Songa. Von Wagner, Xia Li would make great fits. Yeah. There's a bunch of people out there, and I don't think TNA is going to be shy, or Anthem's going to be shy about bringing those people in. So exciting. Yeah. What's next, Jeff?
All right, up next. Yeah, we're talking about it. We're going to talk about this angle that got introduced on Wednesday night. Tony Khan was in ring with Jack Perry, and it looked like they made up. And then Jack Perry turned on Tony, punching him in the gut. Then the Bucks come down and Okada, the Elite, and deliver a move. And Tony ended up playing there for a little bit. He wasn't in the best of conditions after that encounter.
Yeah, he showed up to the NFL draft with a neck brace. In case those of you who don't watch, I know James Chadwick and maybe some others overseas don't watch American football, so you probably wouldn't have seen that. But they did have the NFL draft, and he showed up to the draft in a neck brace. So kayfabe is alive with Tony Khan, apparently. So look, I could go on.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And good for him for trying to keep it alive.
Yeah, man. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Little kayfabe in wrestling is a good thing. I can go on and on about this. We could probably spend the next hour talking about all this. We probably can. We talked about this, and of course, Conrad on his show has done a tremendous job with talking about it too on his show as well. And the things that happened last week to this week, right? All I'll say is this. I still don't necessarily agree with the footage being shown. I kind of just think it was stupid. I get it now. It's part of this. And that's cool. Here's the one thing, and I will echo Dave LaGreca's thoughts. I like gotcha moments. I do. I like it. And you should, as a wrestling fan, like it. You should like being what they call being got or being gotten in wrestling. It's fun. That's part of what it is. Through the reason why, well, not only because of the wrestlers that were there, because obviously Hall, Nash, and Hogan, but the reason why I got interested in WCW was because the gotcha moments. The whole thing with Eric Bischoff doing what he was doing, and he was the victim. He was the guy that was being beat up by the NWO, right? They were coming in here, these jerks that were just beating everybody up there. So you were kind of rooting for him, and you were rooting for for that company for WCW. But then you got. And the gotcha moment was Hogan's heel turn and all that other stuff, and then of course Bischoff's heel turn. So getting got is fun. And if that was what the footage was for going forward into this, that it was all right, I gotcha. It was a gotcha moment, right? And that's okay. Listen, and I don't know Conrad's stance on it. I'm sure he gave his. I still don't agree with it. I still don't think it was necessary maybe to do this. But I will say, this is going to lead to something. In my opinion, this is going to lead to the return of MJF because Tony now is the victim. Of course, Jack Perry now is probably one of the biggest heels in AEW, if not the biggest. And those four that you see right there, the so-called execs, what does this remind you of? Does it not remind you a little bit of the NWO? They come in, right? They take out their boss. Now, I kind of don't think Tony would go and turn around and say that he was faking this and that he's part of their stable. He could, but I hope not, because that's really, really copying everything that NWO did. He could do it, but I kind of think that this leads to something bigger, and we haven't seen MJF in forever, and they need this big face now to come to Tony Khan's aid, and who bigger than MJF, the guy that they want to be the big guy in that company to come back to the aid of him. The surgery didn't go well. Well, they can play this out for a while, Derek. So even if he's not coming back for a while or coming back in any way to wrestle, they can play this out for a good long time. Remember how long the NWO did it. So, but that's, I think, ultimately what they want to do. If they want to rush it and do it sooner, then it's going to have to be somebody else. Jeff, I think, had mentioned a couple other names that he was thinking it could possibly be, and maybe it will. Maybe it'll be somebody else they really want to push as being like the main guy, the big face of the company. So yeah, I don't know, and obviously go to Conrad's channel and hear what he had said about this. But I know that some people are saying that felt as if they needed to eat crow because of seeing the ending of this. I don't know what happened on the shows after, so you guys in the chat can tell me, was there any follow-up to this on Collision or, on the other shows that aired? Was there any follow-up to any of this? Or are they just going to wait until the next Dynamite? So I can tell you this, though, Jeff, people are going to watch. People are going to watch it.
Yeah.
I know they will, because this is the kind of stuff that sucks people into watching wrestling. So people are going to watch. They're going to start getting more ratings from this because they're going to want to come out and see what happens next. So that's no doubt. But yeah, Jeff, your thoughts?
Oh, I've been sitting back, kind of composing myself because I have a lot to say. Some is going to piss some people off, and that's fine. But I'm okay. I'll just, with the storyline, we'll get to the other thing that was done by Tony in his quote unquote free publicity for AEW. But in terms of this, I think good on AEW, because this is something you needed. You needed to kind of spend Deanna. No, if it comes out like it's bubbling up right now, no, it won't be good. So I like the storyline. I like the storyline. I probably would have gone about it a little bit differently. I think if you listen to the crowd reaction, some people actually cheered when Tony got dropped. So why not lean into that a little bit? But I think hypocrisy aside from Tony saying he was never going to be an on-screen character, hypocrisy aside, I thought that it was a really good way to close out a show. I do think that it'll bring people to watch their programming. But yeah, I mean, and I will say this, kudos to Tony. And I truly, genuinely mean this. Kudos to Tony for wearing the neck brace and doing his best job of selling. Here's what I want other people to understand too. Tony is not a full-time wrestler. So the way that a Matt or a Nick Jackson might sell is not the way that Tony Khan can sell. So don't expect that level of performance from Tony Khan. But I think that aside, kudos to them. I think they're taking chances, and they need to, honestly. They've got to do something, I think, that will that's different, that's fresh, that's a unique twist on some of the stories that they've been telling. And I'm giving, I hate feeling like I have to massage things before I say them. But I'm going to get into that in my grievance. I had almost decided, Joe. I got to this point in the show. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do my grievance this week because I don't want to piss anybody off. And at this point in this show, when we get to the grievances, I'm going to say what I got to say, and we can just be done with it. And that's just kind of how I am right now. But there's Tony selling. And I didn't get a picture of his dad coming down, but he came down. He was concerned. So yeah, that's all I got to say about it for right now.
We're going to have a very spicy grievances segment tonight because in the first time I can think of in probably a little while, you're probably not going to be too thrilled with what I have to say. But yeah, look, I could say this. This is much better than the character he was playing when he was doing the whole thing with Impact. Way, way better than that character. That goofball that was trying to be like the bad guy in that whole little merger that they had going on was awful. Awful.
And Joe, the only question that I ask is this Wednesday, and I'm not trying to be a smart behind or anything like that, but I'm just asking. So because Derek brought this up, and I was going to bring it up, but Derek did first, so I want to give him credit. this Wednesday, are the Elite and Jack Perry fired? Because now let's remember, as a part of this footage that we got, there was an announcement not long after that CM Punk was going to be let go from the company. And CM Punk, I'll say he lunged at him. Just, I'll just go in the middle and say he lunged at him. That made him fear for his life. So a punch to the gut from one of your employees, and what the Bucks were calling the Meltzer driver, which is now referred to as the Tony Khan driver. Don't get me started. But what happens to these folks now?
It's a good question.
Just asking a question.
Yeah, that's a good question. And because anyone else, you probably would think there would be definite action taken. And I don't know, maybe they could work that out somehow, or maybe they could get rid of the Bucks for a while, or at least fire them from their positions in the company. Maybe not as wrestlers, but maybe you're definitely taking them out of the executive positions in the company, but who knows? I don't know. That's a great question. And all you can really do is tune in and see. I know there will be a lot of people doing that on Wednesday to see what happened to this. Some are saying, Dave LaGreca on Busted Open saying that this is the biggest storyline that they have done in their 5-year history. So that's saying something. And whether or not, a lot of these journalists are fair and that they who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I get into their heads. But if that's coming from him, he knows a lot of stuff about wrestling. He's watched a ton of wrestling. So, we'll see. It could work out for them, and that is just going to get a lot of eyes. But the thing is, you get a lot of eyes, you can't drop the ball. You have to go. You have to move forward, and you have to make sense and go after it. So, all right, man.
All right, let's go to the next thing that Tony Khan did, which was he was getting his free publicity, as others have said in the chat, and he was on NFL Network. They were interviewing him, and he was talking about his company. The first part, he was doing what he was supposed to do. He was promoting his company. He was telling everybody where they can find his company. I lost count on how many times he said TBS and TNT, but that's what he's supposed to do, Joe. That's what, as the face of the company right now.
Yep.
Tony Khan did exactly what he was supposed to do. What I did not appreciate, and know that a lot of people didn't, but he referred to the WWE as the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling. I want to ask everyone in the chat, and you, Joe, is that comment out of bounds?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's no need for behavior like this. There's no need. This one of his own wrestlers comes out in Edge, right? Adam Copeland comes out and talks about tribalism. This kind of garbage stirs up tribalism. That's what it does. And it was. This kind of stuff is he needs to grow up a little bit. I don't know. I don't know his age. I have no idea how old he is. But there are times when he acts like a man-child. And I think stuff like that doesn't make you look good. All it's going to do is it's going to fire up the tribalistic people that are on Twitter. That's what it's going to do. And then in turn, it's going to fire up the other group of anti-people to those other people. And then you're just going to get a big war. This is the kind of stupid stuff that he does on X. My God, man, get a publicist that keeps him from doing crap like this. Have somebody be, I don't know, a person that just says to him, this is a script for you and this is what you're going to say. Don't let him freestyle on a microphone because this is just stupid. It makes you look small. It makes you look like you have to be like there's a big bully in a high school, and he's picking on this small person, and the small person stands back and starts like saying things behind the big bully's back and making fun of him and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. And it's just stupid. You're just going to rile them up even more. But in turn, you make yourself just look petty. And there's no need. You just came off a thing where if what Busted Open said and what Dave LaGreca mentioned about this being a turning point for this company, that this is one of their biggest points in the company in 5 years of existence, if that's true, this kind of stuff doesn't need to be said. Why even mention WWE, man? Why even mention it? You don't need to do that. Focus on your own. You're taking the shot. You're kayfabing. You're wearing a neck brace, right? You could have talked about anything, and he talked about his show, like Jeff said. But you could have talked about anything. You could have said, "Oh, you can see that, I'm a little injured. I'm not feeling myself," and go into that. Get more people interested in the storyline. They're on an NFL program. So get people more interested. Have them come out and want to see that. Say, maybe you want to know why I'm wearing this neck brace. Well, I got attacked by some of my own talent on my show on Dynamite on Tuesday night or Wednesday night on TNT, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard. Do that, for God's sake. It doesn't take a genius in marketing to figure that out. Don't do this petty stuff. It's just stupid, and it makes you look stupid. And firing up the masses behind you is not necessary. It's not. You have your own fans. You don't need to rile up these tribalistic morons on Twitter. They're the worst group that you want behind you. You don't want these guys behind you, because you know what? In a year or so from now, they're going to flick the switch and find something else that they want to be tribalistic about, and then you're yesterday's news. Don't do this stupid stuff, especially after what you just did. And if this is going to make people come and watch, you don't need to get that group on your side. You don't need to. So just stop it. Stop with the dumbass comments. Stop worrying about WWE. Stop worrying about them, man. Like Jeff said earlier, I'm sorry. They have you beaten out of the water in certain areas. All right. I'm not going to necessarily say talent, but I'll tell you, like Jeff said earlier in this show, production, you're not close. Their production is so bad that people were making fun of it because there was no audio. No audio. So don't take pot shots at someone that you are not close to right now, because you're not. Stop thinking that you need to take out WWE. You're in existence to spread other fans around, to have other fans have something other than WWE to watch, which is fantastic for the business. So just stop that stupidity, man. Stop every time somebody interviews you to mention WWE. It just makes you look bad. So just stop it, man. There's a grievance before the grievances. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I just think it's ridiculous already. And someone needs to just pull him to the side and say, like, would you just stop talking about them? It's not necessary. Go ahead, Jeff.
I have a lot of thoughts. And for those who there's a different, so Conrad is sharing his thoughts on it. I absolutely love and respect my brother Conrad, but I respectfully disagree. And here's where I'll disagree, Conrad. I think at some point, well, let me just throw it out this way, because I'm tired of kind of dancing around it. So I'm just going to throw it out this way. At what point, and this question has been asked over and over again, and I've come to the realization that I don't think that there's a answer for it. When will it be okay to criticize Tony Khan and his conduct? I've asked that question on here. Maybe certain people just can't criticize his conduct. Maybe is that I don't know. I really don't know. But I mean, I know that when we see WWE do something and they drop the ball and they F something up, we have no problems calling out WWE and Triple H and saying how bad of a job they're doing. But all of a sudden, when it comes to Tony Khan, oh, they're just a 5-year-old company. They're just getting started in the wrestling bit. Give them a chance. I'm giving them a chance, and I have given them a chance. And at every turn, when things seem to be trending upward, Tony Khan inserts his foot in his mouth. There is, to me, as a marketing professional, someone who does brand management or, public relations management, there's no benefit to Tony Khan in that interview bringing up the competition. That time was his time to promote his product when he was getting more eyes on his product than watch his shows over the course of a month. And that's not a shot. That's just how big the NFL is.
Mm-hmm.
That was ample time to just talk about his product. You know what? If you hate people over at WWE, that's fine. I get it. Business sometimes creates enemies, and enemies do some really foul stuff sometimes. I do think there have been times where there's been a hit campaign on AEW, but let me say this. This doesn't do you any favors. If you insert your foot into your mouth repeatedly, that starts to be a you problem. And not everybody else is coming after me. And the one thing that I'm going to say before I get into my grievance, because just to let the cat out of the bag, my grievance is about AEW and Tony Khan. So if we're going to keep it, all the way 100, we got to be able to hand out criticism, hand out praise when it's due. And I feel like a lot of times what we're doing is we're protecting certain things and we're not calling out certain things, and it's not fair. Conrad saying, my question is, do you think other podcast critiques are genuine? I also think that line could have been on purpose if you saw the recent allegations of CAA, Nick Khan's old company being sued. Here's what I'm going to say. There have been some podcasts that have blown up because of the hatred towards AEW. I will not dispute that. I can't speak on everyone's intentions, but I know that some people are doing it for the clicks and other people are doing it because they care. And here's where I'm at. I care about wrestling, period. So if I see something in AEW, if I see something in WWE, TNA, I'm going to call it out because I want to see the best for wrestling. I'm not tied to a company. I'm not tied to anyone. I just want to see wrestling thrive because it's meant so much to me in my life. And when we have people like Tony Khan getting on national TV in front of people that he can't even advertise in front of that many people. When you get on there and you want to get in a shot because you really just want to get at, your competitor over recent rumors and allegations, I don't see a point in it. I don't see a point in it. And listen, Tony Khan, this is the screenshot of it. Tony Khan didn't have to say a damn word about WWE. He didn't. What he has on his neck is enough to cover about 90 seconds worth of TV time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other 90 seconds could have been spent on his product.
Mm-hmm.
But You just had to get that jab in. And okay, so disgusting master rank. I'm about to address people like you. So hold on. I want you to stay in chat because I'm not gonna block you yet. I want you to stay there so I can talk to you. So yeah. Don't no one block them, no one delete them, no one do anything. Just leave them there. Because I want to talk to people like you. Can we go to airing of grievances, Joe? Is that fine? Go there? Okay.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna go there. I want you to stay right there because I got some words for you on the other side of this.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're gonna hear about.
We ready?
Go right ahead, dude. I'm not even gonna.
All right, thank you. So you want to sit there and laugh and be like, "Oh, you're defending WWE." This ain't got nothing to do with WWE. And I'm getting sick and tired of people like you hopping on the internet talking about, "Oh, you're defending WWE," when I just want a company that I see a ton of potential in be better. So don't come at me talking about defending WWE because I will call them out just like I'm calling out Tony Khan and AEW. So watch yourself. You must be new around here. You don't know me. So anyway, my thing is when it comes to AEW, when it comes to Tony Khan, when it comes to the stuff that they do every single week, we are not allowed to critique or do anything because we'll get called a hater or a defender of WWE. Why is it that I can't criticize AEW? Why is it that I can't criticize Tony Khan? I mean, explain it to me because I don't see it. I mean, we criticize Triple H, right? We criticize Vince McMahon. And listen, here's what I'm going to say. And I've said this numerous times and I'll say it again. Deservedly so. When Tony Khan does something stupid, if you say anything about it, you're called a hater, you're called an e-drone, you're called all these different things. So what I was going to say tonight is, since that's the case, since I can't critique something I enjoy because I want it to be better, I got to have an ulterior motive, or other people have ulterior motives because of it. I don't even know that I want to watch it anymore. I don't even know that I want to watch it anymore. Because if I'm critical the least little bit, I get called something that I'm not. And it's because I don't agree with the herd. It's because people are like, "Oh, we got to protect Tony Khan at all costs." Screw that. I don't give a crap about it. Just be better. That's what I want. I don't want to see you fail. I want to see you be better. Rise above the bullshit. Rise above it. If WWE takes a shot at you, guess what? It's seen as them punching down. You ain't got to punch every time somebody else punches. Just go out there and do your best. You have a great roster. You have great potential. Do something with that. I get so sick and tired of people talking about, and I'm going to say it like this, and I'm not going to bring up the person's name, but people will know exactly who I'm talking about. This Tony Khan protection bull crap reminds me very much so of another prominent figure in our society right now. Defended every turn, can't do a damn thing wrong. Sound familiar? I'm tired of sitting back and seeing a company that has so much potential, that's done some great things in their first 5 years, screw it up because of somebody who wants to take personal shots and be seen as the hero amongst the internet wrestling community. That should not be your focus, Tony Khan. Your focus shouldn't be, let me see if I can please these, few fans that have these glowing things to say about. No, shouldn't be about that. Present the best product. And I'm going to say this again. There are podcasters, there are people that have been in the wrestling business, Jim Cornette, Dutch Mantel, to name a couple, that want to benefit from the types of criticism and hatred that they show towards AEW and Tony Khan. There are those people out there. But then for every one of those, there's 5 like us that just want to see the place be better. That just want to see them succeed and be a true alternative, like they said they'd be, like they promised us. Because guess what? When you all heard that promise, I heard it too. And for the people like whatever his name was that isn't even in the chat anymore, who hadn't said anything in a few minutes, I want AEW to succeed, because when AEW succeeds, wrestling succeeds. When the professional wrestling business succeeds, the fans win. And you can take that comment, turn it real, just turn it however you want to turn it. You can turn it to the side, you can turn it catacorn. I don't care. And you know where you can shove it. And the next time you come at me or anybody comes at me when I'm sharing how I feel because I want to see a company succeed, and Conrad, this ain't directed towards you, so please know that. But it's people like that jackass who hop on here and say stuff like that, who don't even know my intentions. I want to see companies succeed. So go tweet about that shit. I'm done.
There's nothing I can say that will say it any better than Jeff just did. I can't stand, and that's that person, disgusting master rank, whatever the hell he is, felt the need first of all, let me say this. Thank you for giving views to our show. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate that. We hope you dropped a like on the video too.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. And coming in, and I like to think that I feel sad for people like you. You are part of the problem in wrestling. You think what you're doing here is smart and intelligent. You are part of the problem. You are part of the tribalism. You are part of the negative that's out there. You are the people that Adam Copeland was talking about. Do you enjoy that? Is that what you want to be? Do you want to be a clown that causes arguments in wrestling? Do you get off on that? Or do you just enjoy hating on things? Is that your thing? I feel sorry for you. I really, really do. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for your life as a person, that you can do nothing better than to come on someone's show and to act like an a-hole like you just did. And why? Because you think it's funny? Do you think you're intelligent?
They wanted their 2 minutes of fame, and they just got it because I gave it to you.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
that shit.
It's ridiculous, man.
In your archives, because that's the only attention that you deserve.
I'm not going to spend another minute on anyone like you, because, like I said, I feel bad for you. Wherever you are, on your phone or your computer or your grandmother's basement, I don't know where it is, but man, get your life straight. Get your life straight.
Go touch some grass. How about that? Touch some grass and things that rhyme with that. With consent, of course. We have to make sure we tell people like you with consent.
Yeah, get your life straight, dude. if this is what you know, if this is how you're going to be in your life, you're a follower. You're nothing but a follower. You're never going to be anybody being that way in your life. If all you're going to do is just be the follower of negativity on Twitter. So good luck to you. I really wish you the best, and I really hope that you at some point turn your life around. So, well, thank you, Jeff, for saying all that. I know it took a lot, and listen, I can tell you this, just knowing Jeff the way I do, this is something that Jeff's been wanting to say for a long time on this show, and he hasn't, and I'm glad he has, because it's something that has been, on his mind. This is a reason why you don't see Jeff on X anymore. This is the reason. Because of all the crap that he had to put up with and suffer through on there from idiots like that moron that was just here on his Twitter over the years that we've done this show. And that disgusts me to no end, that someone gets chased off of a social media app by people like that. It's gross. It's sickening. It's disgusting. And that's why I can't stand that app. It is the worst. It is the bowels of hell of social media. There's no better way to describe it. So yeah, they're gone. Whatever. Well, mine kind of pales in comparison to what Jeff just said. His obviously much more important. But I want to give I want to talk straight about my own feelings as well. Now, this is not anywhere near the same sort of importance that Jeff had given. But I want to talk about something that just came to my mind, and I want to get this out there. This concerns the stuff that's going on with Uncle Howdy and all of that. I'm a fan, okay? I'm a fan of this, and I'm a fan of Bray, and I always will be. However, I'm going to come out and admit that it's not exciting me. I'm not into it. I noticed this, I'm like, why are you not going and looking up the codes or looking at I can't get into it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because Bray is gone. And I do understand that Bo and whoever else is doing this are tributizing him. I get that 100%. And I'm not saying that it's wrong for them to do what they're doing, that this is the way they want to tributize him, and it's wonderful that they do. All I'm saying is that it's not doing anything for me. And maybe it's too soon after Bray's death. I don't know, for me personally. And I'm not saying that this is my editorial. This is me talking. And I'm not saying anyone else has to feel this way as well. This is just me. And this is how I feel. And I'm not saying that it's wrong in any way, shape, or form, because their family has to do what they have to do. And I respect that. From me, though, personally, I can say that I'm not as intrigued by it. I'm not as into it. I'm not. I don't know. It's just, it's lost luster, I think, for me, because I loved Bray so much, and because I miss him, and I want him to be a part of this. This is what he was going to do. And so maybe at some point in the future, I'll get into it. Maybe I will. But on the other hand, maybe I won't. And so, I wanted to get it out there. And I wanted to just say that. I love anything like stuff that's done with horror. You guys all know that. I love it all. I love doing that. However, I just wanted to say, because I'm not going to continuously go and put stuff on Twitter like I was maybe before. with all these clues and all that kind of stuff and everything. Like I was sharing them. I was looking for them and stuff like that. The other night, I just thought, you know what? I just don't feel like doing this. And I kind of felt bad about it. But I can't, I just, for whatever reason it is, I just can't do it. And I'm sure that whenever this comes to a head, whatever this is going to be, I will probably like it, but I just wanted to get it out there and say that. And I guess maybe the whole moral behind this little tiny story, which, like I said, you know, against what Jeff went over, this is very meaningless. But this is from my heart. And, you know, I guess the moral of this story is that you should feel okay to share your feelings with your audience, like Jeff just did. And I could very well have played a role because of how popular this is right now, and come on here and just, you know, shout it up and talk it up and say this is the greatest thing ever and stuff like that. But I do not feel that way. And so I'm not going to come out here and I'm not going to lie. And I'm not I'm not going to make up stuff. I'll give things its due and stuff like that. And maybe it'll grow on me, but it's just a good point of, you don't have to pretend. Look at yourself and get your own feelings. Like Jeff just poured out his, you know, let them out and just tell people what you feel, because in the long run, it's going to make you a better person. And so I just wanted to share that, because again, I maybe some of you other people, maybe this will help some people out there too, because maybe some of you are thinking the same thing. But I wanted to share that because, like I said, I'm sure I will enjoy it eventually. But I can't say that I'm doing this like I was when Bray was here, or like I was doing it when we knew White Rabbit was him and we were so excited about his return. I'm just not there. So yeah, so that's it. Like I said, very pales in comparison to what Jeff was talking about, and I'm very glad though that Jeff was able to do that and pour out his heart here, and essentially that, like I said, that's what I just did. I'm just telling you guys straight on how I feel about something, and maybe between what Jeff said and between what I said here will maybe help some of you listening in a way that goes above and beyond maybe just wrestling. And that's kind of what this segment is for, in a way. So,
yeah. And I want to say this. I apologize if I came off too angry. But I want people to know the reason why this matters so much. And this is the last thing I'm going to say in this segment. One of the reasons why I got off of X is because we had an episode of this show and I shared a small critique of Tony Khan. And about 2 hours later, I got a DM that was a threatening DM, talking about that, I'll unalive you. Listen, I'm not gonna argue with someone over wrestling. Wrestling is something I enjoy. It is something that entertains me. I'm not going to argue with you over wrestling. I'm not going to bring up my resume because I don't have to. I'm not that type of person. But what I will say is this: when people stoop to that point, whether you do it on behalf of AEW or whether you do it on behalf of WWE, if you're one of these people who sends threats to people because they don't like what you like, it's a you problem. It's not a me problem. And it's really unfortunate that people can't just sit back and be like, you know what? I like this. I don't necessarily like that, but I'm just going to pick and choose what I like and hype up the stuff I like, and the stuff I don't like, I'm just not going to mention. But here we are. And you know, I have been, Joe knows, I've been holding a lot of stuff in with this for a while.
Yep.
And you know, it finally hit me that it needed to be said tonight. And again, I wish Tony Khan and AEW nothing but the best. I want them to be successful. And I'm going to say this. If you're a WWE fan and you sit there and say that WWE turning around didn't happen in part because of AEW, you're lying to yourself. That competition is real. Competition brings the best out of us.
Mm-hmm.
So just gonna stop it there, but thank you all for allowing me to say my piece and get it out. And to the guy that has mysteriously disappeared, what I'll say to you is this, my dear brother. Listen, if you don't know people's intentions, don't assume. Because you know the old saying how it goes, when you assume, you make a ass out of you and me, but you just made an ass of yourself. So I hope you're happy. And I'm done.
Well, there you go, guys. That was our airing of grievances for this week. And yeah, so you know, this is really what a lot of this was meant for, is that, you know, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes we don't have them, sometimes, but this was really meant as an editorial piece and things that we feel we need to say. You may not agree with us, you may agree with us, but ultimately this comes out because this is our show and this is the place that we air these things. And so we appreciate you listening to us do that. Thank you so much for doing so. And yeah, so there you go. It was a very big thing that I know Jeff needed to say. So I'm glad he was able to do that. So, all right, we're going to move on.
Yeah, sell or no sell.
We're going to sell or no sell. You guys know this. You guys know how this works. We're going to give a topic, and you are either going to sell or no sell the topic along with us. So, Jeff, what is the first topic of the sell or no sell segment tonight?
All right. So let me blow this up so folks can see it, because many of you may not be able to. So let me put this out there. Roman Reigns being a free agent is best for WWE programming. Joe, sell or no sell?
Oh man, you know, when I heard about this, of course, this came on the show on SmackDown, and they were talking about it. I think it's best for business right now, because I think what this is going to lead to is Roman, whenever he finishes his movie and stuff like that he's doing, I think that he's going to come back as a face. I think a lot of people are thinking that way, especially, of course, with what Solo is doing and stuff right now over there, and that he's almost taking over and he's bossing Paul Heyman around and he's doing things that Roman never would have done. That I think that this is going to lead to that. And I think that he will eventually come back to SmackDown, and he will have Jimmy and Jay, I think, both with him. So yeah, I think this is a pretty easy sell for me, because I do think that he will return to the Bloodline story, but he's going to return on the opposite side as that returning, the mob boss that was taken down now comes back to prominence and returns, but he's on the opposite side of the current regime type of story. So yeah, I'm selling this. I think it's a pretty easy sell, Jeff.
I don't like it. I love it, love it, love it.
There you go. Listen, I'm going to sell this too. Very similar reasons. I want to throw this in too. Roman has a lot of enemies he's made over these last several years. We want to see him get his comeuppance, right? We want to see him kind of have to deal with what he's done over the last several years. And it looks like he may have to do that without the services of Solo and Tama Tonga and Jimmy. It looks like he's going to have to go this alone. So I think it's an interesting not detour, but an interesting path of the story, because all of this is going to eventually work itself out. And, I feel like Solo is going to be the big dominant heel, and Roman's going to be that face that's trying to overcome these obstacles that in part he set up for himself. So yeah, I agree. I think this is good for WWE because he's got enemies on SmackDown, he's got enemies on Raw.
Yep.
So I think it's good that he's a free agent, that he can kind of go where he needs to go, where they need him most. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. This is a hard sell, I think, for a lot of people here. Let's see. We got sell from Derek, sell from Chris, sell from Marvin, sell from John G, Andrew Stevens, sell, Swag Fan, sell, Damien, sell, Chris Wilhelm says sell, Big Dan says sell, A. Jobson, sell, Alicia, sell, Dylan, sell, Bonkers, sell, Conrad says sell, Brandon says sell. Yeah, this is a hard sell for most people here.
Most,
yeah. Goofy fly buzzing around my light. Oh my God. Michael King says sell as well. All right, let's go to number 2. Now remember, you're going to have to help us with number 3. We have the wheel. Yep. Start getting your questions ready for topic number 3, because we need audience participation on that. Make sure you get them ready. We're going to ask you for them, and we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to pick one of you to be the one that names our topic number 3. All right, Jeff, topic number 2.
All right, topic number 2, Moose's program with Nick Nemeth should continue through Bound for Glory. Sell or no sell, Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to sell this one too. I think that Nick's story here is starting to look. Listen, when something works well in wrestling, people are going to mimic it. They're going to copy it. And I think everyone saw the story of the Ultimate Babyface and Cody Rhodes and stuff like that. They're not going to copy it in the fact that he's going to take 2 years to do it. They're not going to do that, because that's a once in a lifetime thing. We may never see that happen again, but they're going to want to copy this. And I think Nick's story, we're going to use that term a lot now. It's just going to be Nick's story. But Nick's story, I think, is kind of the same kind of track, right? Nick is a guy that a lot of people want to see him hold that gold, and people are going to anticipate that a lot, and they want him to win it so badly. But I think that in wrestling, you know, good things come to those who wait. And I think that's what's going to happen in this case too. They're gonna dance around a little bit. We're going to see the Matt Hardy thing now come to pass. He'll get involved with it a little bit, but as you can see, he may go to the point now where he might start taking out some of those people that are with Moose, that's another direction that they can go. But yeah, I'm selling it because I do think they're gonna play this out. I don't even know, honestly, if that's gonna happen at some point this year. I don't know. It could be like Jeff was talking about. I think you mentioned the pay-per-view in the fall. I think you were saying, yeah,
Bound for Glory.
Yeah, it would make sense. Because if they want to do it before the rest of this year, you know, some people will assume next it's going to definitely be Slammiversary, and then if it doesn't happen again, then people will start to be like, "Oh, this sucks. When is this ever going to happen?" But yeah, I'm selling it, Jeff, because I think it just makes a lot of sense with the way modern day wrestling is.
Yeah, I mean, let me play this first for you.
I don't like it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with all your points. I would say there's a part of me that would like for it to happen maybe the start of next year, but I think it makes a lot of sense to put the title on Nick at some point this year. And I think from several different perspectives. From a business perspective, he's a known name, even though he's going under a different name now. So that might get more eyes on your product going forward, which always helps out. So yeah, I'm gonna agree. I think they should continue this, even if we skip a couple pay-per-views where they have no involvement. And I also think it's critical though how you do if these two face each other at Slammiversary, how you have that match finished. That's gonna that is a big factor in this because if you make Nick look weak in any kind of way, it hurts.
Yeah.
If you have something wonky happen, maybe that's maybe that helps out a little bit. But yeah, I think they should continue this story until Bound for Glory, and I think it ends with Nick Nemeth being the TNA World Champion.
Agreed. Yep. Agreed. Same here. All right, guys, here you go. This is your chance. Give us a topic. We're going to pick through enough to fill our little spinner. Jeff's going to spin the wheel, and we're going to pick one of your topics that we're going to put on there. So I got one here from Big Dan starting off, sell or no sell. Vince McMahon will either start a new promotion or try to buy AEW in 2025. That's insane.
My marker would not write the name Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
This is
I hated to say it, to be honest.
this is what it wrote instead.
Yeah. That's a good term. You know what's the devil is this damn fly that's buzzing around me here. He likes my fluorescent light and he just will not go away. Let's see. Brandon has the Elite's attack on Tony Khan leads to anarchy in the arena, double or nothing, or even yet blood and guts.
Okay, so Elite attack. Okay.
Let me see what else I got here. My sell or no sell for Kenny Omega will be a general manager. So I think what John G is trying to say there, and some people are saying this too, is that maybe it's not MJF, but maybe it's Kenny Omega that ends up coming back to settle all of this stuff down. So okay.
Yeah, because I think we just got a report that MJF ended up having to undergo surgery.
Yeah.
Even and that PT wasn't doing what they had hoped.
Yeah.
Derek says Derek's question is, does AEW and Tony follow up on this program the right way?
It's a good one. I like SWAC fans here. You ready? Let me know when you're ready.
Give me 1 second here.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
SWAC fan says, Mosh's chain will go around the neck of Alicia, creating a jealous return of Killer Kelly.
Ooh.
I like that. That's cool, man. I like that. Good storytelling there.
Okay, got spaces for 3 more.
I'm going to reword James a little bit because it's not really a when question. So I'm just going to say Uncle Howdy will return at Backlash.
Okay.
How about we put that down? Because I think a lot of people are kind of thinking that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hello, Andrea.
All right, 2 more.
2 more. Jamie says Jacob Fatu will be at Backlash to attack Jey Uso. We got 1 more, and I'm just going to take the one that was first.
Okay.
This is Little Silver. Shane McMahon will buy TNA from Anthem to prove he can run a major promotion.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. There you go. Okay. We got some others down there. Oh, Derek had one I must have missed.
I got it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I got it. That's the one I read out.
Oh, that's the one you read out. Oh, okay, cool. All right. There you go.
Here's
all right.
the wheel. Here's the wheel. Horrible handwriting.
There you go. The wheel is going to spin, and we will tell you whose it is.
All right. So, and it actually landed on Derek. So,
oh, there you go.
Apparently, someone wants me to talk about AEW a lot tonight. So, does AEW follow up on this storyline the right way? Sell or no sell, Joe?
I'm gonna sell it. I think they will. I look, stuff like this. We all know this is written and planned in advance. So I think they will. I think this is, again, you're not going to get answers right away. This is something that's going to lead up to something big down the road. Whether or not it's going to be, I would imagine maybe it will be at that big pay-per-view that they've got overseas, which is when this could come to a head, and we could see, the payoff for this, and who's going to come back and kind of be Tony's savior or saving grace, the person who's going to come in and stop all this madness that's going on from the Young Bucks and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to say sell, because I do believe that the story has an end game. They know where they're going with it. And yeah, so I do. I think that we will see it. I just don't know when. But yeah, I'm going to sell it. I think it's a good statement. Yep.
I don't like it. I love it, love it, love it.
So I am going to sell it as well. I think that this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but I think in certain situations, things align and it's hard to mess up. So I think that the dominoes have fallen into place. You've got the pieces where you want them. It's just a matter of getting there. And I think they will. I think that they'll get to where they want to go. Now, whether that is where fans want it to go or others, that remains to be seen. But I think if they're doing the story the way that they want to do it, I think it'll get there. And I do think fans will like it. I do think that this is, I think is really a unique place for AEW to be, because it feels almost like a turning point for them. The question that I would ask AEW fans is, at some point, do you have Swerve Strickland join this storyline and kind of be that leading figure leading the charge against the Elite and Jack Perry? Do you go there? Because again, I know some of the critiques out there have been, well, where's your world champion? You got to make your world champion prominent. So do you think that's a way they get him into a storyline that's bigger? Just that will be my question to everyone. Like I say on this show often, and I don't just say that because we're friends, but I say this because I really respect his work. I defer a lot to Conrad when it comes to AEW, because I know he watches the product. He watches it more than I do, but he dives deeper into it, and he understands the layout and everything. So I defer to folks like that when it comes to, does it make sense to get Swerve involved at some point? But yeah, I mean, I think they'll do a great job with the story.
Yep. Same here. Let's see what people are saying here in the chat. We have, looks like a lot of cells out there. Let's see. James Grant says sell. John G says great job, Derek. Christopher says sell. John G says sell. Sherry says sell. Dylan says sell. Damien says sell. Andrew also. Andrea also selling it. Bonus baby, as long as TK doesn't get in a ring and have a match. Big Dan says sell with the touch of no sell. I just hope Hulk Jericho isn't involved so as not to bury Jack Perry. Sell, no more Tony Khan on screen. That would be great to make a face and pit him super over. DRO says sell. Swerve called what the Elite did on Collision a bitch move, so I think he is involved. Yeah, says James. I say sell after a long thinking, says Conrad. Brandon says sell. Swerve versus Perry is my guess for DON. Yeah, that would make sense. The parking lot fight last night was fire. Derek says I'm going to sell for now, or it could be Elite in Stadium Stampede. Yeah, that make sense too. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Love the participation. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. And all of those who didn't get their questions in, keep on trying, keep on putting them out there. And we will definitely, probably, I'm sure, get to you at some point doing one of these shows somewhere down the road. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, we're moving on. We're going on to the burning question.
And I promise you, folks, this question is not related to AEW this evening. Uh, so, so yeah, we got this question here. I want to bring it up real quick. Says, I haven't watched wrestling in 10 years. I'm back into WWE now because of this year's WrestleMania. As a newer viewer, what would you recommend I go back and watch, or other companies I should check out?
Interesting. Chat, play along. I think this is a very inclusive question. I mean, we're probably going to be a little biased.
A little bit.
We're probably going to be a little biased here. Look, I think in the grand scope, right? If this is coming from someone that would approach us and saying that we're all going to end up giving our own opinions to them because it is what we like, right? And we're going to want people to check out the things that we enjoy. My answer to this person or viewer would be give everything you can possibly watch. And maybe there's some you just can't because of your work situation, like me on a Wednesday or whatever it is. But, whatever you can watch, tune into. There's good stuff everywhere. You can tune in on a Saturday night and watch an AEW show. You can tune in on a Thursday night and watch TNA. You can tune in on Tuesday night and watch NXT. You can tune in on a Monday or a Friday and watch WWE. You can tune in and watch MLW. There's just a lot, and there's a lot for everyone out there. If I had to give a personal recommendation, and they came back into it like they mentioned here because they watched this year's WrestleMania, I would, and people, you're going to call me a homer, but I would tell them to watch TNA. And the reason I say that is because TNA is extremely they're similar to what WWE does in the way of their storylines. I think they have a little bit different. Like AEW does a very good job on their program of having the wrestling itself shine. They have fantastic matches of wrestling there. The storylines there, I would not say are comparable to WWE's. And so I would say, listen, depending on what you want, if you are into it because you love just pure wrestling, you want to see some amazing matches, like you want to see what they call or what they refer to as 5-star matches, maybe on a weekly TV show and not waiting for pay-per-views, by all means, watch AEW every Wednesday. If you want to see some longer term storytelling, you want to see some things that maybe, like, I don't know, maybe you like the horror stuff, the suspense stuff. Maybe you like some of the stuff that's a little more unbelievable or sometimes even silly. I would tell you, go watch TNA. And then, if you enjoyed what you saw watching WrestleMania, then obviously catch up as much as you can and check out what WWE's question is. I think there's something for everyone. And I think that's a big part of the point of it.
Yep. I often throw out this challenge for TNA, but I would do this with every promotion that you can catch. I wouldn't necessarily worry about going back so much as I would just focus on now, what's happening from now until. So, I mean, you may want to go back and watch some videos of some things that have happened to lead to where stories are now. Those videos are out there. But I think that's what you have to do. I would challenge you to give a month to each promotion and find out what really resonates with you, whether that's AEW and their match styles and the different things that they do, whether that's TNA, whether that's Ring of Honor, whether that's NWA, if you can find some episodes. I mean, I think there's so many different options out there. AAA, if you have access. Mark brings up a great point. go to some of your local independent shows. That's a good spot. I'll go ahead and be honest with you. There there are a few things in terms of WWE that I wouldn't go back and do. Um, there's a particular era where around the time that you stopped watching, it probably was the time that a lot of people stopped watching. So I would say, skip ahead from those years if you do want to go back and see some stuff. But what I would tell you is, Hank, go to different watch alongs, go to different channels like ours, like Conrad's, like Tazzy's. Um, if you kind of want to get in with a group of folks, a good community that can give you recommendations too. I think that's a lot of it too. Go back and watch individual matches. I think if you think about where wrestling was around 2014, 2015, around there, wrestling has changed a lot since then. So go back and watch some matches. Watch a Will Ospreay. Watch a Speedball Mike Bailey. Watch Josh Alexander. I know I'm throwing out a bunch of folks not in WWE, but watch Roman Reigns' transformation from where he was when you were watching to where he just finished up. And I mean, so many places to go, but I honestly think that understanding that you're not going to catch up with everything from 10 years. You're just not. So hop in where things are right now. Give each company a month. See what you like, and just go from there. And if you want to go back once you have a couple, depending on how much time you have, listen, you might be another James Chadwick and watch everything every day of every week, and that's cool too.
Yeah.
God bless him, because I will tell you, I go to James and I get information a lot too. So, but yeah, I mean, check out what you can and support it. And yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's just like I said, we're in a great time for wrestling right now. We just are. It's not, Jeff and I will be the first to say, and we've said this on previous shows, that when it was only WWE sucked. It sucked. It was unwatchable. Raw was unwatchable.
Thank God for Impact Wrestling during those days. And
Lord, man, go back to
good God, it was terrible.
Yep, go back to some of our watch-alongs back in those days and see. We're sitting here like bored out of our minds.
I almost fell asleep one watch along.
Yeah, having to get through 3 hours of that was awful.
Yeah,
it was awful. So we lived through a lot of that. So yeah, this is a fun time when people are talking about many different things from many different companies, and it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. So,
yeah.
Yep, I love it.
Yeah.
All righty, I believe we are going on to the end part of our show, and that is our favorite moments of the week.
And Joe, I hate to do this here, but I really have to take a work call real quick at 10:43 on a Sunday night. But yeah, if you want to go into yours, I will be right back. If you want to go into your number 3.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so we're going to do 3 favorite moments of the week. You play along. We will go 3, 2, 1. Jeff will have to deliver his when he comes back because obviously work calls. What could you do, right? So let's go at our number 3 favorite moment of the week. So guys, start at number 3 in the chat. Tell me what your number 3 favorite moment of the week in wrestling was for this past week. My number 3 is I'm going to go to TNA. I got to watch the show after the fact, but I'm going to go to TNA, and I'm going to go to I'm going to go to, I think some people talked about it a little bit in the chat tonight too. What is going on in TNA with Nick Nemath's brother? I don't know the contract status. I'm sure some people probably know better than I. But is he still signed with AEW, I don't know. I don't know what his status is. Is we saw him very much more prominently on TNA the other night, and I was a little bit surprised by it, to be honest, because I didn't know what was happening there. I was expecting Matt Hardy to be the one that would come down and kind of help him there and save him at the end. I don't know. Apparently, maybe that his brother's going to be written into a storyline. So I don't know. I kind of always like that kind of a thing. When you see that family members can kind of work with one another at some point in time. Obviously, the Hardys have always done that, but I kind of dug that. I was like, all right, that's cool. They're working him into something here. At least it looks that way. So he'll have a little bit of backup for what's going on there. So that was my number 3 of the week. I was kind of a little taken aback by it because I didn't really expect it to happen. So there you go. He's signed, but he's not really used, says Conrad. Okay. All right. Let me see what other people's number. We're doing our number 3s, Jeff. I just did my number 3. So if you want to do yours, and then I'll read everyone else's out.
Yeah, I'll do mine real quick. My number 3 is Trick Williams. As a Clemson fan, I know him well through his days at the University of South Carolina or at South Carolina, whatever they changed it to recently. We have a rivalry as a thing, so it's all good. But no, I was happy to see him win the NXT title, and he's had a lot of fan support, and I know people love him. His charisma is off the charts. So yeah, I'm really ready to see his reign in NXT.
Yeah, for sure. The 3 new champions, great stuff. All right, let me see. Moose retains TNA title, added prestige, says Conrad. Is his number 3. Derek Fleming's. I like this one. This probably was going to make my list too. Burger after burger after. It was so great, right? Wrestling's good when they have a lot of humor in there too, and that was freaking hilarious. I absolutely love that. I thought that was fantastic. Bonker says number 3 was Santana versus Myron Reed in TNA. A. Jobson says Willow winning the title. Bonus Baby says Sheamus Drew promo on Raw. Yeah, it was very good. Those two are just they know each other so well. Liv doing her thing, and Nick Nemeth bro appearance is Swag Fans number 3. Matt Hardy returning to TNA was Dylan's number 3. Andrew's repeating the burger after burger thing. Made a lot of people laugh. It was really funny, really, really funny. And I mean, being honest, Sheamus did gain a little weight. Yeah, he did. But he was off for a while, and of course that's going to happen. They may not be doing the workouts and stuff as much as they normally were, but that was funny. Alexa Bliss Gamer says Trick Williams versus Ilja Dragunov. Alicia says, sorry, gonna go. It's late night. Speak to you. Yeah, no problem, Alicia. Thanks for joining us. I know it's really late where you are. Sheamus and Drew, Santana, Sheamus and Drew and Sheamus. Nemeth made his debut for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Clown's talking about the Lakers getting. Oh God, really? That's.
Hey, my son is the same. He was like, man, finally they got to win. He's a huge Lakers fan. Loves LeBron James. So I'm like, I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
The burger thing from Drew seems to be a lot of people's number 3. Is Masha part of the system? We don't know yet. It seems to be that way, or at least they're teaming up with. All right, we're gonna go to our number 2. Jeff, what's your number 2, man?
All right, man. Number 2 for me, quite simple, because honestly, he's one of my favorites of all time. Matt Hardy showing up at Rebellion, and then him showing up again Thursday night. That was awesome. It's good to see him back in TNA. He did so many great things in TNA, but the broken Matt Hardy stuff was some of my favorite work that he's ever done. So yeah, Matt Hardy showing back up.
Nice. My number 2, and I saw this watching TNA after the fact last week. What is my boy Joe Hendry bringing into that storyline? I am so excited to see what that's going to be. And also, by the way, you can now download his I Believe in Joe Hendry on all the forms of music.
Good.
I saved it to Apple Music. It is now literally out there on all the music forums. So, but yeah, I'm loving this storyline. And you just know Joe is going to get back. But what is he going to do? Is he going to
We
bring somebody in to help him?
we talked about a rap battle, Joe.
Oh my gosh,
So what if he got a rapper on his side
oh,
and they
okay.
they do a song together?
Oh man, dude, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. I'm excited to see where this goes. I absolutely love it, man. Joe Hendry, one of my favorites in wrestling today, brings a smile to my face every time I watch him, and I just love it. So, of course, being taken advantage of all the time now by AJ Francis and, of course, Rich Swann, but he's going to have his comeuppance, and it's going to happen soon. So I'm excited to see where that story goes. So that made me laugh, and I really enjoyed that moment. All right, let's see what people have for their number twos. We have Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, number 2, because my number 1 has significance to the culture. Conrad says, even though I'm not a fan, how they got their elite angle got people talking. The QR code from Ross is Alexa Bliss Gamer. Ospreay versus Bryan. Danielson, Ospreay from AEW Dynasty. Matt Hardy is Sherry's. Swerve becomes world champ. Moose and Jordan Grace retaining championships, says Swack fan. Damien says Carmelo and Cody face off this past Friday. That was an interesting moment. Yeah, that was really cool. A little glimpse of maybe
Really
what
good
the future. Yeah, a little glimpse of what the future might hold somewhere down the line. I like that. The QR codes from SmackDown, Cody versus Carmelo, the return of Matt Hardy and Sami Callihan. Jake something, Sherry says, number 2. The new Taylor Swift album. God bless. I will give you a little piece of info from that. Look in the liner notes. Her last song that's in there, down at the very bottom, and one of the little things she writes on the bottom after that last song lyric is the word dazzled. And so many people feel she is playing the character Dazzler from the X-Men in an upcoming Marvel film. So there you go. And maybe a little tease from Taylor that she may indeed be doing that. And if you're not familiar with the character is essentially an X-Men rock star. That's really what it is. So kind of perfect fit. By the way, X-Men 97. If you're not watching that, you need to. It's freaking amazing. Guys,
I got to catch up.
Dude, Jeff, the culture references alone are worth the price of admission. Like stuff that's going on in culture right now that they are putting into there just blows my mind. The moments that you look at it and you're like, did they just do that? Amazing. It's freaking amazing. Like it's a must watch for me every single week. Oh, and the new Deadpool trailer. Never heard as many F-bombs in a trailer that I got in that, and man, am I down for that movie too. Number 2, TNA Rebellion, top to bottom, awesome show. Plus, it really was a good show. I'm really sad I missed that. I watched it. Like I said, Jeff did an awesome job with you guys, and I'm really sad I missed it. It was a really good show. I agree. Deanna versus Thunder Rosa on Rampage. How did that go and who won? I didn't hear. I heard the two of them were wrestling. That's an amazing combination. Of course, I'm sure they probably. I'm wondering if they ever wrestled before. I'm guessing they probably did at some point in time. But yeah, that's a hell of a match. Honorable mention:
Impact, Joe.
Carmelo Hayes. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Didn't they wrestle in Impact during the COVID days?
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Taylor Swift sucks. X-Men 97, what is that? It's a cartoon. So it's literally an animated series that was on in the 90s. And now they remade it for Disney, but it's very good. It is on Disney. Yes, it's very, very good. Swerve, Willow, and Trick. Okay, so we're getting into the number 1. So Jeff, what's your number 1?
Oh man. Listen, we talked about it earlier in the show. I gotta shout it out this time too. Swerve Strickland. Trick Williams, I already mentioned him as my number 3, Willow Nightingale. But Swerve, I want to highlight in particular because I feel like his path to get here has really been one that's always kind of fascinated me. I feel like he's one of the biggest misses WWE has ever had. I truly mean that because he Oh man, he's so talented. He's so good. So good on the microphone, so good in ring. And I really, really hope that he gets an opportunity to showcase every single bit of talent and skill that he has. It means a lot for the culture. It's a first in AEW, so kudos to Tony Khan and whoever's involved in creative um, to see that in him and to um, give him the opportunities that he's earned. He wasn't given anything because he earned everything because he worked his butt off. And I just want to, shout out to him. Dude is super talented, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. And I will say this, I didn't watch it before, like way before the show, so I didn't really have an opportunity to think about this as a number, as a entry on my countdown. But everyone has been talking about the um, Will Ospreay Bryan Danielson match. I watched clips of it. It's everything is advertised. It's everything is advertised. So go check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, two tremendous wrestlers, and we know what Bryan Danielson's all about. So, yeah, I've got kind of a number one. And Willow, love Willow Nightingale, Swerve and Trick, and of course, you can count Moose in there as well, like Bonus Baby is there. Yeah, it's a huge moment in wrestling. It just is. And I'm hoping that at some point, some people look at all this and say, this is good for professional wrestling, and we're gonna, this is maybe people even look back at this moment as being this is where things maybe started to change a little bit. That's really what I would like to see. And of course, my other one, my one, which is more of that's the one. The other one I'm just going to throw in there, of course, is Matt Hardy. I'm marked out seeing Matt, and I love mark out moments. And it was just a fantastic moment because we didn't know what we were getting. We were thinking it was going to be, Butcher, Blade, and Bunny. When nobody knew, but when Matt showed up, and a couple people did guess it, but when Matt showed up, it was just really cool. It's always cool to see somebody like a returning hero come back. I'm hoping we get that moment. I don't know if we ever will, because he said he was going to retire with WWE, but I'm kind of hoping we get that moment with AJ at some point too, because it just needs to happen. And I don't know. They've been saying that they're going to work together with them again. And maybe AJ just gets to do that. I think that would be just a tremendous way for AJ to, maybe end his career at some point down the road. So there you go. Let me see what everybody's number ones are. Swerve rise to the AEW World Title, and Ospreay Danielson is tied for Conrad. Cody Rhodes says Sherry. Return of the Broken One, and Callahan, Ospreay, and Danielson, TNA Rebellion show. Swerve winning the AEW title. The QR codes from SmackDown. Swerve winning the title, and the rainbow of colors and creeds that are holding championships across all promotions. Swerve, Willow, and Trick, all black champions for the culture, says Derek. Let's see. Let me go down a little bit here. Trick winning the NXT Championship, number one Mellow on Raw. Swerve, Trick, and Willow becoming champions, and Moose holding it down for TNA. Ospreay Danielson match of the year contender. Let's see. I think we've got them. Yeah, we've got them all. There you go. Love it, guys. There you go. So that is going to wrap it up for us for tonight. It was a lot. It was a big show. It was a lot of stuff that we needed to get off our chest. And that's just going to happen on this show sometimes. That is the forum we chose to do that kind of stuff in. And, so, and like I said, I know for a fact that Jeff was wanting to say and talk about that for quite a while. And he kind of held his peace, thinking that, I always told him to do it, but listen, maybe thinking that he shouldn't for whatever reason, but I'm kind of glad that he was able to do that. And we're happy that you came out and gave us the opportunity to do that kind of stuff. So we appreciate you all for doing that and coming out and listening to us old men ramble sometimes. In any case, we will be back. As I said, I will let you know about Abby's on Tuesday, but it should be on Tuesday unless something happens with Jody. And either way, we'll let you know. 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, remember, those clips will be up. They're all up on our YouTube channel right now from the Kyle stuff. So if you don't want to go and watch the whole entire thing, you can pull out those clips and just watch the clips and hear those cool comments that Kyle made during that amazing interview that we had with him. If you do want to watch the video, please check that out. That's up on our channel as well. It was just an amazing conversation with an amazing person. So check that out. And then obviously we will be back. I will be back, and I'm happy to be back on TNA this week along with Jeff. So join us at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our TNA watch along, and then we will have this. We will be right back here next Sunday night for Between the Ropes, and we'll talk all about this week coming up in wrestling and what happened in wrestling this week. So that's going to do it for us, guys. Appreciate you coming out. Make sure you like the video, please, before you head out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We would greatly appreciate that. Hit the notification bell to be notified about when we do have that future content. And yeah, guys, please stay safe. Be kind to each other, one another. Please be kind to one another. I was trying to think ahead and say something about Twitter, but get off Twitter if you need to. Honestly, you're not going to be disappointed if you do. If you're out there to stay in touch with some other folks, that's perfectly fine. I get that 100%. But look, it's but anyway, stay safe, be kind to one another, and hopefully we'll see you all for our next show, whether it be Abby's or whether it be TNA. Have a great rest of your Sunday, guys. Enjoy the next couple of days, and hopefully we'll talk to you all very soon. Have a great night, guys. Take care.